the road into Ash Hollow. Colorado disappeared from the GPS about 30 miles before we reached the town. At first, we thought it was just bad signal, mountain roads, storm clouds, nothing unusual. But then Tyler checked 3 different map apps. None of them showed the town anymore. The road was still there physically. Cracked asphalt winding through miles of pine forest. But according to the internet, Ash Hollow no longer existed. Marcus laughed from the back seat. That's already the creepiest thing I've heard all week. Rain slammed against the windshield while lightning flashed over mountains. The deeper we drove into Colorado's backcountry, the darker everything became. Not normal darkness. Heavy darkness. The kind that made the trees look alive whenever lightning flashed. Lisa sat quietly beside me holding an old folder filled with newspaper clippings about the town. She'd spent months researching abandoned places across America, but Ash Hollow was different. She almost didn't agree to come. That alone should have warned us. I glanced over at her. So tell us the real story. Lisa hesitated. Locals believe the town was cursed. Marcus laughed immediately. Of course they do. But Lisa didn't smile. In 1931, people started disappearing during winter storms. Entire families vanished overnight. Search parties found footprints leading into the mountains. She stopped speaking for a second. But no bodies. Tyler adjusted the camera, resting on his lap. And the town just emptied? Lisa nodded slowly. Within 2 months, almost everyone was gone. Lightning exploded across the sky outside. For 1 second, the forest lit up bright white. And standing between the trees, I thought I saw a person. Tall, motionless, watching our SUV pass. Then darkness swallowed the forest again. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. You guys see that? See what? Marcus asked. I almost answered, but something told me not to. Nothing. The rain became heavier the farther we climbed into the mountains. Soon fog started rolling across the road. Thick white fog, swallowing the headlights. Tyler leaned forward. This road feels wrong. Nobody argued with him. The forest had become completely silent now. No birds. No insects. No animal sounds. Only rain. And somewhere far away, a strange metallic sound echoing through the mountains, almost like an old siren. Lisa suddenly pointed ahead. There, the town appeared through the fog like something from a nightmare. Old wooden buildings lined both sides of the road. Broken streetlights leaned sideways. Dark windows stared back at us. Ash Hollow looked frozen in time, like the entire town simply stopped existing decades ago. The closer we got, the worse the feeling became. Every instinct in my body screamed to turn around. But we didn't, because that's the problem with fear. Curiosity usually wins first. We drove slowly into town, while Tyler filmed through the windshield. This place looks unbelievable, he whispered. Then Marcus suddenly sat forward. Stopped the car. I hit the brakes instantly. A person stood in the middle of the road ahead of us. Tall, wearing a long dark coat. Completely still inside the fog. Rain poured around the figure, but it never moved, not even slightly. Tyler whispered, "Why isn't he moving?" I flashed the headlights. The figure remained motionless. Marcus honked the horn. Nothing. Then lightning flashed across the sky, and the road became empty. The figure disappeared. Marcus cursed under his breath. Nope. Tyler looked pale already. We literally just got here. Nobody laughed. We parked beside the abandoned sheriff's office near the center town. The second the engine shut off, silence swallowed everything. Absolute silence. The kind that makes your ears ring. Rain still fell softly around us, but somehow the town itself felt soundless. Like Ash Hollow existed separately from the outside world. Tyler grabbed the camera equipment nervously. Okay, this officially feels like a horror movie. Lisa stared down the empty street. Locals say the town changes after midnight. Marcus sighed loudly. Please stop saying stuff like that. But Lisa kept staring into the fog. They also say if you hear someone calling your name. She paused. Don't answer. Right after she said that, we heard a woman screaming somewhere far away in town. Not loud, distant, like someone crying for help through the fog. Tyler froze instantly. You guys heard that, right? Another scream echoed through the darkness. Closer this time. Marcus forced a laugh. Probably an animal. Then the scream turned into words. Help me? Every single one of us went silent. Because it sounded human. Very human. The voice came from somewhere deeper inside the town. Marcus looked at me. Tell me we're not following that. Of course we followed it. That's why horror stories happen. People always follow the noise. We started walking down the main street, carefully, while Tyler filmed everything. Our flashlight beams swept across abandoned storefronts and shattered windows. The town looked untouched for decades. Old barbershop, general store, gas station, hotel. Everything still stood there rotting quietly beneath the fog. And then we noticed the footprints. Fresh footprints in the mud, barefoot. Marcus crouched down beside them. These are recent. Lisa looked disturbed now. Who would walk barefoot out here? The footprints led straight toward the old church at the end of town. A massive wooden building sitting alone beside the cemetery. Its front doors hung slightly open, moving slowly in the wind. Tyler stopped walking. No chance. Marcus nodded immediately. Absolutely not. But Lisa was already moving toward it. We came here to investigate. Tyler whispered to me. She says that like we're not about to die. The church steps creaked beneath our feet as we climbed toward the entrance. The second we stepped inside, the temperature dropped. Freezing cold air filled the church. Dust floated through our flashlight beams. Broken pews covered the floor. Olden books scattered everywhere. A giant wooden cross hung behind the altar. The place smelled rotten, like mold mixed with something worse. Something dead. Marcus covered his nose. Jesus. Tyler slowly panned the camera across the room. Then he froze. There's someone here. We turned instantly. A figure stood motionless near the back wall. Tall, thin, head lowered. My heart nearly stopped. I raised the flashlight slowly and realized it was just old clothing hanging from a hook. Marcus laughed nervously. Okay, we're all losing already. Then the church bell rang. Loud. The sound exploded through the building so violently Tyler nearly dropped the camera. Lisa looked horrified. That bell hasn't worked in decades. The bell rang again. Boom. The sound echoed through the empty town outside. Then came footsteps above us. Heavy footsteps. Walking slowly across the second-floor balcony. We all looked up instantly. Nobody there. But the footsteps continued. One slow step at a time. Marcus whispered, "Nope." The footsteps stopped directly above us. Then whispering filled the church. At first it sounded distant. Then louder. Hundreds of whispers surrounding us from every direction. Impossible to understand. Male voices, female voices, children, whispering all around us inside the darkness. Tyler's breathing became shaky. We need to leave. Then every candle inside the church suddenly lit at once. Whoosh! Flames exploded across the room. All of us jumped backward. The whispers stopped instantly, and standing beside the altar was a woman, pale skin, long black hair, completely black eyes. She stood perfectly still staring directly at us. Marcus whispered, "What the hell?" The woman slowly lifted one arm and pointed toward a basement door beside the altar. Then every candle went out. Darkness swallowed the church instantly. Tyler shouted, "Run!" We sprinted outside into the rain. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. The fog outside looked thicker now, almost alive, moving strangely between the buildings. Marcus bent over, breathing hard. "We are done. Done." But then Tyler suddenly looked toward the road. "Guys!" The SUV was gone. Completely gone. The spot where we parked sat empty beneath the rain. Lisa stared in disbelief. That's impossible. Marcus looked furious now. Did someone steal it? There were no tire tracks. No engine sounds. Nothing. The vehicle simply vanished. Then somewhere deep inside the town, an old siren started wailing. A horrifying metallic sound echoing through the fog. The exact sound I heard earlier in the mountains. Tyler whispered, "What is that?" Nobody answered. because through the fog, people started appearing. Dozens of them, standing silently between buildings, watching us. None of them moved. They just stood there smiling. Lightning flashed overhead, and for one horrifying second, we saw their faces clearly. Pale gray skin, sunken black eyes, twisted smiles. Then darkness returned. Marcus whispered, "Oh my God!" The siren stopped instantly. Dead silence returned, and every figure began walking toward us at the exact same time, slowly, without speaking, without blinking. Tyler grabbed my arm violently. "Move!" We ran blindly through the town while the fog swallowed everything around us. The whispers returned immediately. Dozens of voices calling from the darkness. Some sounded angry. Some sounded desperate. One sounded exactly like my mother. "David." I stopped for half a second. Marcus yanked me forward. "Don't listen." The voice called again behind me, perfectly copying her voice. "Help me?" I forced myself to keep running, because deep down, I knew it wasn't her. The streets twisted strangely through the fog. Nothing looked familiar anymore. It felt like the town itself was changing around us. Then suddenly, lights appeared ahead. Warm yellow lights glowing through a house window. A small wooden house, standing at the edge of town. Tyler looked shocked. "There are actually people here?" The front door slowly creaked open. An old man stood inside, holding a lantern. "Hurry!" We didn't hesitate. The second we entered, the old man slammed the door shut and locked it with 3 different bolts. The house smelled like smoke and old wood. Candles flickered in every room. Every window had heavy curtains nailed over it. The old man stared at us carefully. "You stayed outside after dark." It wasn't a question. Marcus stepped forward angrily. "What is wrong with this town?" The old man looked toward the windows nervously. Ash Hollow should have stayed buried. Lightning flashed outside. For a split second, we saw dozens of pale faces standing outside the house, watching silently through the rain. Tyler whispered, "What are those things?" The old man sat slowly beside the fireplace. They were once the people who lived here. Nobody spoke. Then came 3 slow knocks at the front door. Boom, boom, boom. The old man froze instantly. His face turned pale. "Don't answer." The knocking came again, louder. Then a woman's voice whispered from outside, "Help me?" The exact same voice from earlier. Marcus backed away from the door. "Nope." Then the voice changed. Now it sounded exactly like Tyler. "Open the door." Tyler's face lost all color. "I didn't say that." Then it copied Marcus. Then Lisa. Then me. Perfectly. The knocking became violent. Boom, boom, boom. The windows started shaking. Outside, hundreds of whispers surrounded the house. "Let us in." The old man blew out every candle instantly. Darkness swallowed the room. "Stay quiet," he whispered. Something scratched slowly across the front door, long fingernails dragging against wood. Scrape. The sound moved across the walls outside, circling the house. Tyler's breathing sounded panicked now. Then suddenly, everything went silent, completely silent. Minutes passed in darkness. Nobody moved. Finally, the old man relit a candle carefully. "They're gone." Marcus stared at him. "What are they?" The old man looked exhausted. The fog changed them. Outside, another scream echoed through the town. The scream outside sounded human, painfully human. It echoed through the fog-covered streets before suddenly cutting off. Tyler slowly looked toward the window. What if someone's actually out there? The old man shook his head immediately. "If you hear screams after midnight in Ash Hollow," he stared directly at us, "you stay inside." Lightning flashed outside again. For half a second we saw figures standing around the house. Dozens of them, completely motionless, watching. Marcus whispered, "They're still there." The old man stood up slowly and grabbed an old shotgun resting beside the fireplace. "You need to understand something." His hands trembled slightly. "The things outside aren't ghosts." Nobody spoke. The room suddenly felt colder. The old man continued quietly. "Ghosts are dead people." He glanced toward the windows. Those things are something else. Thunder exploded across the mountains outside. Then came another knock at the door. Only one this time. Soft, almost polite. Tyler whispered, "Oh, God." The old man slowly walked toward the window curtain and peeked outside. His face immediately changed. Fear. Real fear. He stepped back quickly. They found us. Marcus looked furious now. Who found us? Before the old man could answer, the front door handle slowly started turning. Creak. All of us froze. The locks rattled violently. Something outside was trying to get in. Then a voice whispered through the wood. "Please." A little girl's voice. Crying. "I'm cold." Tyler looked horrified. No. The voice sounded too real. Too human. The old man raised a shotgun. "Don't listen to it." Then the crying stopped instantly, and a deep male voice replaced it. "You shouldn't have brought them here." Every hair on my body stood up because the voice sounded directly behind me. I spun around. Nobody there. But Lisa suddenly pointed toward the hallway. "There's someone in the house." At the far end of the hallway, a tall figure stood in complete darkness, motionless, watching us. The candlelight barely touched its face, but I could see it smile. Too wide, too unnatural. Marcus whispered, "What the hell?" The figure suddenly moved. Fast. Far too fast. It disappeared deeper into the hallway. The old man shouted, "Upstairs. Now!" We ran for the staircase while the front door shook violently behind us. Boom, boom, boom. The entire house rattled with every impact. Tyler nearly dropped the camera while running upstairs. The second we reached the top floor, all the lights downstairs went out. Darkness swallowed the first floor completely. The old man locked the bedroom door behind us. The room looked ancient. Dusty furniture. Old family photographs. Candles everywhere. Rain hammered against the windows outside. Marcus paced nervously. "Okay, somebody explain what's happening." The old man sat heavily in a chair. His face looked exhausted now. In 1931, the miners broke into something underground. Lisa frowned. "What do you mean, something?" The old man stared into the candlelight. They found tunnels beneath the mountains. Thunder shook the house outside. People started hearing voices in the fog after that. Tyler whispered, "What kind of voices?" The old man looked directly at him. Voices that sounded like people they loved. Nobody spoke, because all of us remembered hearing familiar voices outside. The old man continued. The townspeople followed the voices into mountains. His hands trembled harder now, but they came back different. Then we heard footsteps downstairs. Slow footsteps moving through the dark house. Creak, creak, creak. Tyler whispered. They got inside. The old man slowly stood. No. His voice sounded terrified now. It's already here. The footsteps stopped directly outside the bedroom door. Silence. Then came scratching. Long nails dragging slowly across the wood. Scrape. Marcus backed away from the door. Open the window. We leave now. Lisa looked outside. There's nowhere to run. The fog outside had become impossibly thick. You couldn't even see the street anymore. Only shapes moving beyond the glass. Then a voice spoke from the hallway. Soft. Calm. David. My blood froze. It sounded exactly like my younger brother. Perfectly. Nobody else should have known his voice. The voice came again. Help me? Tyler stared at me. It's trying to get you to open the door. Then the voice changed again. Now it sounded like Lisa. Please let me in. Lisa looked horrified. I'm right here. The scratching stopped. Then silence. A horrible heavy silence. And suddenly, the bedroom closet door creaked open by itself. Nobody moved. The inside of the closet looked completely black. Too black. Like the darkness inside was deeper than normal. Marcus slowly raised his flashlight toward it. The beam barely entered the darkness. Then two pale eyes opened inside the closet. Tyler screamed. The figure lunged forward, and the candle flames exploded out instantly. Complete darkness swallowed the room. People shouted. Furniture crashed. Something moved across the ceiling above us. Fast. Animal-like. The old man fired the shotgun. Boom. The gunshot deafened the room. Then silence. The candles flickered back on slowly. The closet stood empty again. But the old man looked pale now. There were deep scratch marks across his chest. Blood soaked through his shirt. Lisa rushed toward him. "Oh my God!" The old man grabbed her wrist hard. "You need to leave Ash Hollow before sunrise." Marcus looked furious and terrified at the same time. "How?" The car disappeared. The old man pointed toward the mountains outside. "There's an old mining tunnel east of town." He coughed painfully. "It's the only way out." Tyler shook his head immediately. "No chance we're going underground." The old man stared at him. "If you stay here after sunrise—" He paused. "You won't stay human." Silence filled the room. Then, downstairs, we heard the front door open. Slowly, creak, heavy footsteps entered the house. Not one set, many. The old man looked defeated now. "They're inside." Marcus grabbed a fireplace poker. "Then we fight." The old man shook his head. "You can't fight them." Then every window downstairs shattered at once. Crash! The whispers returned instantly. Hundreds of voices filling the house. "Stay with us." Tyler looked like he was about to panic completely. "We need to move." The old man handed me an old lantern. "Follow the eastern trail through the cemetery." Lisa frowned. "What about you?" The old man gave a tired smile. "I've survived longer than most." Another loud crash echoed downstairs. The things inside the house were climbing the stairs now. Slowly, the old man opened the bedroom door slightly. "Go!" We ran. The upstairs hallway looked darker than before. The wallpaper peeled from the walls. Family portraits hung crooked everywhere. And at the far end of the hallway, people stood motionless in the darkness, watching us. Pale faces, black eyes, smiling. Tyler whispered, "No, no, no." The figures suddenly started walking toward us. Fast. We sprinted downstairs while whispers exploded around us from every direction. The first floor looked worse now. Fog filled the house. Shadowy figures moved between rooms. One of them stood in the kitchen staring directly at me. Its smile stretched unnaturally wide. Marcus shouted, "Back door!" We burst outside into freezing rain. The cemetery behind the house stretched into the fog-covered hills. Old gravestones leaned sideways beneath dead trees. Lightning flashed overhead. And for one horrifying second, we saw people standing between the graves. Dozens of them, motionless, watching us. Tyler grabbed my arm. "Run!" We raced through the cemetery, while whispers followed us through the fog. Some voices cried. Some screamed. Some laughed. Then Lisa suddenly stopped. "Wait!" A child stood beside one of the graves. Little girl, white dress, barefoot in the mud. She stared directly at us. Tyler whispered, "That's impossible." The little girl slowly raised one arm and pointed toward the mountains. Then she vanished into the fog. Marcus looked terrified. Did we all just see that? Nobody answered, because we heard something moving behind us. Fast, branches snapping, heavy footsteps charging through the cemetery. We ran harder. The old mining entrance appeared ahead, carved into mountain. A massive black tunnel disappearing underground. Rusty warning signs hung outside the entrance. Danger. Mine closed. Lisa looked horrified. We're seriously going in there? Behind us, figures emerged through the fog between the graves. Coming closer, smiling. Tyler didn't hesitate anymore. Inside, the tunnel swallowed us instantly. Cold air rushed through the darkness. The deeper we went underground, the quieter the whispers became. Only dripping water echoed through the tunnels now. Our flashlight beams swept across old mining tracks and collapsed support beams. Marcus breathed heavily beside me. This place is a nightmare. Lisa stopped suddenly. Look. Symbols covered the tunnel walls. Hundreds of strange symbols scratched into the rock. Tyler filmed carefully. What do they mean? Nobody knew. But the farther we walked, the stranger the tunnel became. Soon the walls no longer looked natural. They looked carved, deliberately shaped. Then we found the door. A giant rust-covered metal door built deep inside the mountain. Chains hung broken around it. And carved above the doorway were words, "Do not open after dark." Marcus whispered, "Oh, hell no." Then Tyler noticed something else. The door stood slightly open. A freezing wind blew from inside. And somewhere deep beyond the darkness, we heard whispering, not from behind us, from inside the mountain. Lisa slowly stepped backward. We need to leave. But then the tunnel behind us filled with movement. Shadowy figures appeared through the darkness, blocking the exit. Dozens of smiling townspeople slowly walking toward us. Tyler's voice shook violently. "We're trapped." The whispers from behind the metal door grew louder now, calling our names, one by one, soft, gentle, inviting us inside. Marcus backed away from the door. "What I asked this thing?" The smiling figures kept approaching slowly through the tunnel. Closer, closer. Then the metal door suddenly creaked open wider by itself, and something inside whispered directly into my ear, "Welcome home."